Hello and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I am the Silver Wheel Witch. Today I am going to be doing another flip through book review. I'm really excited about this book review I have today. The book that I'm going to go over is Beneath the Moon, Witchcraft and Moon Magic for a Deeper Practice by Rachel Patterson. And I recently found this book in my search to really find more diverse resources for moon-related practices in general. The moon has always been a main part of my practice ever since I started practicing witchcraft. And I've really been looking to dig deeper and get more perspectives and, you know, always push my boundaries a little bit to grow. And I was really excited to find this book because I would say that I consider this book actually more of an intermediate book. And there's a couple reasons for that, and I wanted to share it right off the front. Not that someone who's brand new couldn't use this book. My personal feelings on this are that there's so much information in this book, and even as someone who loves data and information and analyzing things, this I really feel would be information overload for someone who's brand new to the craft. But that also lends it very well for someone who is intermediate to advanced because it's a ton of information. Looking at a practice based around the moon from just about every angle. And that leads me into the second reason why I would consider this an intermediate book. And that is because this book is very clearly comes from her practice. I mean, she's definitely, I don't really know much about her, but it's very clear as I've been thumbing through this book and using it as a reference and reading different sections of it, that this information comes from her practice. And as we all know, there are general correspondences for things. And the very common correspondences are common for a reason because they work for most people. In this book, she gives a lot of different correspondences, and I personally wouldn't use all of those correspondences. And that is why I feel it's more of an intermediate book, because I feel like it would benefit the person using this book to really already have at least a basic understanding of how they see things. What is their viewpoint? You know, most people, you know, might say use the full moon for manifesting, but maybe somebody else uses the dark moon to manifest, right? If you already know these things about your practice, then reading through this book is going to be very beneficial because she gives a lot of different ideas and perspectives that have made me think, oh, I've never used this herb for this moon phase before, and I never would have thought to. Can I think of why she might have chose that? Is it something I would use or don't use, right? So you want to be able to make that decision for yourself. And it doesn't really separate necessarily the very common correspondence from ones that I can tell when I'm reading it. It's clearly that is something that she uses because, you know, it's not one of the common correspondences on something specific. That being said, if it's somebody new to the craft and they really can take things objectively, everybody's different, and you can look at all these perspectives and understand why you would use a certain correspondence for a certain aspect of your moon practice or witchcraft, you know, then it might be beneficial to you. But anyways, that is my thoughts on why I personally would consider this more of an intermediate book. So with that, I want to go ahead and really dive right into this because it's packed with information. And I want to kind of give you guys a look-see. Okay, so I like to first look here and see that it is first published by Moon Books in 2021. So it's a fairly new book. And the author is Rachel Patterson. And the contents are quite long, but I do like to show them to you. Actually, I'm just going to move the camera down a little bit so that you can freeze frame if you like. Because I'm just going to show you parts of the book, not the whole thing, but at least if you can see the contents, you can decide if it's something you might like to purchase. So I'll just hold here for a second. That way, if you need to pause it, you have the space to do that. Okay. She's got a section in here about who she is. Okay, so the first thing we're going to go into is she has this section here on moon magic based on the moon phases. So the other thing I like is she has all the phases in here. I don't know if I can flip through this part of it and show you. So I recently on my Etsy store put out a Grimoire Pages that actually has moon phase general information. This, like I said, this is more intermediate to advanced, but it has all the phases. So not just the quarters and the full and the dark moon, it has all the phases. And in each phase, she gives like a quote. She gives some keywords for moon magic. She gives some bullet points of things you can do. She gives some colors. I personally, some of her colors, I'm not sure how she, where she comes from to use those colors. So again, practice is very personal. So, I would just say if anyone new is going to get this book, just make sure that what you're using for correspondences resonates with you. Just because something is in a chapter in a book and this person finds something very meaningful in using these connections to this energy, clearly very strongly, otherwise she wouldn't have put it in a book, make sure you're sticking with what works for you. Like I would definitely use bergamot for a full moon. I wouldn't use the color red, but that's just me. So, but there's plenty of information here to choose from as well. So it's a very beautiful layout. Then she goes into basically these plants for the full moon, and each moon phase has the same information. She's got an incense oil and blends, body care butter, so some things you can craft, and full moon foods, herbs, and spices. I do think she's a kitchen witch. I thought I saw, like very experienced, probably been practicing many more years than me. So she's got a lot of really good food correspondence in here, which I thought was cool. So different food correspondences for the moon phases, definitely something I want to start playing with. And then a recipe, some herbal teas for the full moon, and then she also goes into crystals for the full moon. And then she gives you a meditation on top of it and a ritual for gratitude. I mean, it's just fantastic. And she gives you the outlay of the ritual. So basically, any approach you want to take for a full moon practice or ritual, the information's in here. And she also gives a list of deity too. Again, personally, I don't really associate with the same choices she has, but I think it's great that she has such a large selection to explore, right? So maybe I would never have associated a certain deity with the full moon that she has listed. Then maybe I might like to practice with that and see how it goes, But basically, that goes for she's got that much information for every single phase, which I think is great. So that's the moon phases information. And then she goes into, which I absolutely love, is the moon energy based on the month, which is one of the reasons I was looking for books, because there's not very many books out there that give information for the full moons by the month, basically the SBATs. If you have a Wiccan background or pull any of your witchcraft from that type of a background. But she's got a lot of information in here, and a lot of it is different from the other resources that I've seen, which I think is great. And I actually personally like some of the associations that she has made in here as well. So I'll just go ahead and do a flip through really quick for you. Let me pull these tabs off. Of what she has in the month of January. And like I said, all the different months have the same type of information. So she has the energies, she has colors, the zodiac sign, an element, and a season. She has all the different names, because there are a lot of different names. And let me tell you, it's getting harder and harder online to find some of these more diverse names I found in searches. So I really appreciate such a long list. Plants to work with. So again, she gives you plant lists, but this is, so now specifically not just the full moon, but the full moon in January, or working with the moon in the month of January. And then some herbs and foods. Crystals to work with for the month of January for your moon magic. Again, not all the same choices I would make, but you know, a lot to choose from and to experiment with if you're looking to push your boundaries and try something new. Moon deities. She's got world celebration days, which I like. So they also have that in, I think it was Moon Magic by DJ Conway was the other book I put on here, which was all about just working with the moon by the month. And she has similar layout, but this book actually has a different perspective and some different different correspondences. So I really enjoy that. We have the deities, the days, and that's basically what she has for the months. Okay, and so then going from there, she does have a section worth pointing out that then goes into these special moons. So aside from, say, the full moon and the dark moon and the basic phases, we have different moons, like if it's a second full moon in a month. So we have a blue moon, and she gives some activities and tips and different things. She has the she moon, the Sid moon. I never know how to enunciate that correctly. The black moon, a super moon, a micro moon, and even goes into eclipses, a blood moon, and lunar occultation. So very, very cool. And then she goes into monthly moon challenges. So she's got like a challenge grid set up of things to do during each phase of the moon. And then goes into a section about Mercury retrograde as well. And then goes into the moon phases in the zodiac signs. So another key aspect that a lot of people work with the new moon, we have, or full moon, or whatever phase you're working with. For example, the next upcoming full moon is the full moon in Sagittarius, right? So you could look up, you know, the moon in Sagittarius, and again, she's giving an element, colors. Looks like she's giving a body part because it's associated with the zodiac, which has body part associations. Again, some more herbs and spices. Crystals to work with. Looks like energy element. Oh, that's for the different herb or the stone. Okay. And then she has one for each one. So when the moon is in those different signs, she has all that information in there. Okay, and then going into the back, in addition to all those correspondences, whether it's the moon phases or you're working with the full moon within a certain month of the year, or you're working with the moon in an astrological sign, or mixing all that together, in the back she has some basic correspondences. So here she has just the full list of moon deities that she has in the book listed in the back as for correspondences. And then I love that in the back here she also has, which I didn't see throughout the middle of the book yet, I haven't actually read it cover to cover. I've been reading little bits of it and using it for resource and research, but to try some different new things out. But she has moon animals, which I love that. I love that she's included that in there. Okay. And then she also has flowers and plants ruled by the moon, and cooking with the moon cycle. I really think I saw somewhere that she's a popular kitchen witch author, so I really want to look into her other books because I'm very impressed with this one, the amount of information in here. And it pushes my boundaries a little bit from what I've been practicing on the regular. Moon spellcraft ideas, and talks about a moon diary. I love the bullet points she puts in here. Lots of different activities throughout the book. She gives you the wheel. Just kind of flip through that a little bit. Let's see. Some moon circles. So some different activities and things. Gives you a breakdown. Like here's an abbreviated section. So in the front, you have these big, huge section, about the moon phases. And now here's just like an abbreviated section. So she really, narrows it down to a good resource in the back of the book. Some information on witches' bottles, so a couple different spells, things you can do. And then also she has in the back here a section on moon divination. So you've got moon with the tarot cards, and gives you some, definitions that she uses for the cards, doing oracle cards, working with the moon, mirror scrying, water scrying, lunomancy. There's lots of different types of divination with relation to the moon. So if you want to have your entire practice, including divination, revolving around mostly moon, you really can do that with this book. Gardening by the moon, moon predictions and folklore. I mean, she really just didn't miss a beat with this book. I really feel like she really did an excellent job of covering everything. If you wanted one book that had all the moon information in it, if you could only buy one book, I would probably say this one. Just let me go ahead and do a flip through for you so you can kind of get the aesthetic. Just again, the only word of caution I would say, especially to newer practitioners, is make sure when you're choosing correspondences that it is something that resonates with you, and you have an intent behind your correspondences and a meaning for them, what they mean to you when you use them, because this book certainly gives you plenty to choose from. Beautiful book. Very grateful that I found it. Grateful to this author for writing this book and putting it out in the world for everyone. Yeah, there you go. I always hear a lot of people asking for intermediate books. I would definitely call this one an intermediate book on moon magic, even for probably advanced practitioners as well. There you have it. Let me know what you think down in the comment. Have you read this book? I would love to know what your thoughts are on it. And I will see you all next time. Have a great day.